An AI agent?
Agentic.
Agents.
The agents.
More AI agents than there are people in the world.
Everyone's talking about AI agents being the future of business, but if you're like most people, you're hearing all the hype while secretly thinking, what the hell actually is an AI agent? This video is made for people like myself. You're not super technical, but you use AI tools like ChatGPT regularly, and you want to learn just enough about AI agents to see how it affects you and how you can start taking advantage. So here's what we're covering. I'm breaking this down into 3 different levels, building on concepts you already understand, like ChatGPT, then moving on to AI automations, and finally, AI agents. And at the end of this video, I'll share what a Y Combinator partner recently said about AI agents that completely changes the way I think about business opportunities in 2025. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. And if you're new here, this channel is all about helping you level up with AI. So if you're into that kind of thing, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more AI videos like this one. All right, let's start with level 1, large language models, or LLMs for short. The most popular examples are ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini. And if you're watching this video, you've probably already used one of these tools for things like writing, summarizing, or brainstorming ideas, and they're incredible at that. These models have been trained on massive amounts of data, so they can generate human-like text on pretty much any topic you can think of. Let me show you what I mean. If I ask it to write a welcome email for my new customers, boom, it delivers exactly what I asked for: professional, personalized, and ready to use. But watch what happens when I ask, what meetings do I have on my calendar today? As you can imagine, it gets stuck. Despite having all that intelligence, it has no idea what's on my calendar. This highlights a few key limitations of basic LLMs. First, they have limited knowledge of proprietary information like our personal information or internal company data. And second, LLMs are passive. They wait for our prompt and then respond. So think of an LLM like your favorite barista. They're incredibly skilled and can make any drink you want, from a basic latte to a caramel macchiato with oat milk and a custom foam design. But they're just gonna stand there waiting until you walk up and actually place your order. Now, to be fair, this is changing. OpenAI recently released their connectors feature, and Claude has similar capabilities. So you can now connect ChatGPT directly to your Google Calendar, to your Gmail, and a bunch of other tools. This is definitely a step forward, but it's still completely reactive. It's not gonna proactively check your calendar, analyze your emails, or take any actions unless you specifically prompt it to. All right, level 2, AI automations. This is where we move from reactive conversations to proactive workflows. AI automations work on a simple principle. If this happens, then do that. First, you have the trigger, something that actually sets the process in motion, and then you have a series of actions that take place automatically in a predefined sequence. All right, so let me show you exactly what this looks like in action. So this is an automation I built to manage my Gmail inbox. I built this automation using a platform called N8N, and if you don't already have an account, you can sign up for free using the link in the description. So to provide a quick walkthrough of this automation, every box that you see here is called a node, and these are the individual steps within the workflow. So if we zoom in here a little bit, we'll see that we have our Gmail trigger. So this is going to be what actually sets off the whole workflow. So whenever I receive a new email to this specific inbox, that's going to trigger this automation. From there, the next step is going to be this email classification step. So this is where ChatGPT is then going to receive the contents of that email and then proceed through the instructions of how to actually categorize it. So first, it's going to assign it a category, one of 10 different options that we've given it. Next, it's going to assign a level of urgency. And then finally, it's going to determine whether that message actually needs a response. So depending on all those different factors, ChatGPT is going to let us know what it thinks about that specific email. From there, we're going to parse that response and then route that email based on what ChatGPT has determined on those specific categories. So for example, we have different branches here. So this top branch is for urgent. We have one branch for high, one for medium, one for low. And then we have a fallback option just in case ChatGPT wasn't able to determine a specific priority for whatever reason. So just kind of like a fail safe. So just as an example here, if we zoom out a little bit, under this urgent branch, we're going to be taking actions like assigning labels, categorizing that email to different folders within our inbox. If necessary, we might be drafting a response to that email and creating a draft. And then finally, we're going to be sending a Slack message to let us know that we just received an urgent email. For some of these other branches, like if it's low priority, maybe we're actually taking it out of the inbox, maybe marking it as read, archiving it, potentially moving it away so it's not taking up space in our inbox, essentially decluttering the inbox to keep things as organized as possible to help save you time and help make everything more efficient when it comes to actually managing your inbox. And if you want to set up this exact automation for yourself, I've included the workflow file in my free school community, AI Quest, where you can import it directly into your N8N account and customize it for your own inbox. This automation is way more capable than a basic LLM, but it still has its limitations in that it is still somewhat rigid in the predefined sequence that it follows. It's like a line cook following a recipe to the T. Measure, mix, cook, plate. But what happens when the situation changes? What if the email is from my biggest client and needs special handling? What if it's a part of an ongoing conversation and needs additional context? Or what if my calendar availability matters for my response? That's where things start to break down, as this automation isn't able to adapt to unique situations outside of its predetermined paths. All right, level 3, AI agents. This is where the AI doesn't just follow instructions, but actually becomes the decision maker. AI agents can reason, act, and iterate. In the AI world, we call this the REACT framework. They can think, choose the right tools, take action, and then refine their approach until they get the result that you were looking for. So if AI automations are like a line cook that follows a set recipe, AI agents are like the executive chef. They design the menu, source the best ingredients, assign tasks to the kitchen team, and make sure that every plate meets the highest standard before it leaves the kitchen. So here's what that looks like in action. Here's an example of an AI agent I built, again in N8N, that does basically the same exact thing as the previous example. But one thing you'll notice straight away is that relative to the AI automation flow, the setup of the AI agent is a lot more streamlined. So the reason for that is that rather than having to define every single path that each scenario might take, we can give the AI agent just more general instructions of what we want the goal or the outcome to be. And then we just give it the tools that it needs to actually complete that task. And then it can think and do the reasoning on its own to figure out how to actually complete that task without us having to define every single branch that could possibly take place. Within this, just to break this down even further, we still have the same trigger of Gmail essentially receiving a new email through our Gmail inbox. But then from there, rather than having to break out and define each path, what we're doing here is using the AI agent node within N8N and just connecting it to a few different things here. So to break this down, some of the elements of an AI agent. Number one, like I said, we're still gonna have the trigger here. Number two, we need to connect it to a specific chat model. So think of this like the brain of the AI agent. This is what is gonna use, like for example, it can use any of the GPT, like ChatGPT models. It can use, in this example, we're using Anthropic. For example, Claude would be an example of Anthropic's chat models, but any LLM can be plugged in here and serve as the brain of the AI agent. From there, there's an option to add memory. So memory is going to be a little bit more relevant if you're using this for a use case that's more like a chatbot, where either you or a user is going to be chatting with that AI agent back and forth. For this particular example, it's not necessarily chatting with the agent, so we don't necessarily need memory in this sense, but we do use a form of memory, which I'll touch on in just a second, in the next category, which is the tools. So the tools are essentially what are the specific tools or actions that we're going to give that AI agent the ability to play with. So just to break down this particular example, we're going to give this agent the ability to grab different labels from Gmail, to add those labels to emails, to remove those labels from emails for archiving. We can send notification messages in Slack. We can mark messages as read in Gmail. We can create drafts for replying to emails. We can check calendar events to see what our calendar availability looks like, so we can respond to emails accordingly. And then we can also get many messages in Gmail. So this is relevant kind of to that memory that I was talking about a second ago, where we can look at maybe the past handful of messages from that sender, see what the context of that email or that conversation is, and then factor that into our email response. And then finally, we have an output here. So then once the AI agent is done completing its task, it can then send an output wherever you want it to. So in this case, we can send our output into something like Slack. But another key thing here is that obviously this is completely configurable. So you can swap out any of these different nodes or tools or outputs or anything you want for whatever tool that you're using. So say, for example, if you're using Outlook or a different type of email client rather than Gmail, you can obviously swap that out for whatever you're using. Same thing with Slack. If you'd prefer to receive those messages via text or via email or via WhatsApp, you can obviously swap that out to whatever tool that you're using. Another key consideration here is that within the actual AI agent node here, there's a few really key factors. And the first one that I'm going to mention is the system message. If we open this up a bit, the way I like to think of it is like the job description for your AI agent. So you're giving it the role and telling it what its task is going to be, and very detailed how to actually complete that task. In this case, we're saying you are an intelligent email management agent that analyzes, plans, and executes comprehensive email management tasks, your capabilities. So we're going through here, giving it all the rules, letting it know what tools it has access to, what order to execute those tools. We're giving it labeling instructions, how to actually send the notifications, how to handle errors. So I'm not going to go into complete detail here, but I'll scroll through it slowly if you want to go through and copy this. And again, if you'd rather just import this AI agent directly into your N8N account, I'm going to be sharing this directly within AI Quest. So you don't have to necessarily go through and rewrite all this. It'll have all the prompts already pre-written within it. So you can just import that directly and just set it up for yourself. But outside of this, we also have the user message. So if system message is like the job description for the AI agent, the user message is the specific task in that particular instance that you want that agent to complete. So for example, the system message, we said your job is as the email management agent. And then for the user message, we're going to say, here's the one specific email that we want you to actually process. And here's the relevant information. To show you this in action, here is a quick example. I'll go ahead and send an email to the inbox that's actually hooked up to this agent so you can see exactly how it works. So in this particular example, we're going to say, SOS, my CRM looks like it's been hacked by a raccoon. So we have an email here from Mark and he's freaking out. His CRM's been hacked and we're going to send this email and see what happens. All right. So just to show you how this works, what we're going to do is go into our Gmail trigger and then we'll go ahead and fetch a test event. So as a little pro tip here, you can pin data just for testing purposes. So you don't have to go through and resend that trigger email every single time that you want this to run. So now that we've pinned this, what we can do is execute the workflow just so you can see this happening in real time. So it's going to start with the master email agent. It's going to use its brain. Now it's going to get the past messages from that sender. All right. Now it created a draft. It's assigning it the appropriate labels. It's adding those labels. Now it sent a message in Slack. And then it put its output into Slack as well. So just to show you what that looks like, SOS, my CRM looks like it's been hacked by raccoons. So we can see that it's been categorized into business and urgent. And then we have our draft here. So hi, Mark, I'm on it. This definitely sounds like an important issue, potentially da-da-da-da. So we have our draft ready to go. We can make some quick adjustments to it and fire this off. And then if we take a look inside of Slack, so it says email processed, category business, priority urgent from this action. So it basically says, here's what I did. Business category applied with this label, urgent priority applied, emails already starred, professional response drafted, urgent Slack notification sent, and processing complete. And keep in mind, this is just email management we've been talking about so far. Imagine this level of intelligence applied to other use cases like customer support, content creation, sales, marketing, and even project management. These are all use cases I'm going to be sharing AI agents for on this channel. So if you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future content. All right, so here's the opportunity regarding AI agents that blew my mind when I first heard it. One of the managing partners at Y Combinator, the startup accelerator that's funded companies like Airbnb, Stripe, and Dropbox, recently said that for every SaaS company, there will be a corresponding AI agent company. I want you to think about that for a second. AI agents aren't just a productivity tool. They're the foundation of entirely new businesses. Just like SaaS reshaped entire industries over the past 2 decades, AI agents are going to create a wave of new companies that are solving specific problems completely autonomously. And if you want to take advantage of this opportunity and actually build your first AI agent, you can click the link in the description to join my school community AI Quest. Inside, you'll get instant access to step-by-step tutorials and AI agent templates, including the ones I just showed you, that you can start using right away. It's completely free as of this recording, but to be completely transparent, that might change as I keep building it out. So if you're even just a little bit curious, now would be the best time to join. If this video was valuable for you, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe for more content to help you level up with AI. Also, comment below with what you'd have your first AI agent do for you. Who knows, maybe I'll even build it in a future video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one, which you can find right here. Have you clicked yet?